I want to have a heart-to-heart talk with you about where things are on this planet right now. We need to do some serious evolving, and we need to do it quickly. I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. And I share this with you so that you will understand that my perspective is not really Earth-based. It comes from someplace way outside of this universe so that we can have a broader perspective on our situation here and on everything that is going on. It's really very difficult to get a true higher perspective on what is happening on this planet from within an Earth-based perspective itself, because there's so much chaos, so much confusion, and there's a lot of lying going on here too, right? Now, I would like to set aside the idea that we are spiritual beings who are here to have a human experience. That view doesn't really serve us because it insidiously implies that everything going on this planet is a human experience, which it actually is not. There is not a whole lot of human that is going on this planet. Here's what I mean by that. See, we are here on this planet to evolve out of duality. That's really the main purpose of everything that's happening in the whole universe, as a matter of fact. So the best way to do that or aim for that is to understand a much higher definition of what a human being really is. We want to think of being human in its highest possible expression, in its highest possible manifestation, which we don't see happening here on Earth. But that's okay as long as we are clear what a human being really is. So I'm just going to give you a really fast definition of this. There's a lot more to it, but I just want to give you a quick definition and then move on from there. So you can think of a true human being. What is the original blueprint? What is the original divine idea of a human being? To put it in simple terms, it would be a beautiful human being that is whole, that is not split into two pieces, the two pieces being one's true self on the one hand, and then the ego on the other hand, and these two separate identities being at war with each other. Actually, the true self is not at war with the ego. That is definitely not the case, but the ego is at war with the true self. So the simplest way to understand the highest, most divine, most beautiful expression of what a human being is really meant to be would be one who is whole without the ego. Now, let me just say quickly, living in a finite duality universe or planet, such as planet Earth, we're going to have ego. But the whole idea is that we are here to evolve out of this duality, to become whole again, to become who we really are, without all of this conflict and suffering and pain and war and violence and all the stuff that we experience here. So when I say there's very little human happening on this planet, that's really what I'm referring to. I'm really comparing what is happening on Earth to what it would mean to be the highest, most beautiful, most incredible version of a human being as we were originally designed to be in this universe. So the idea that we are spiritual beings who are here to have a human experience is not exactly accurate, and it doesn't really serve our higher purpose of evolving out of duality. And the other thing that doesn't really serve us is the idea that we are supposed to be anywhere other than here. It doesn't serve us because it implies that our presence here on Earth is a mistake. So I would like to suggest that we entertain the idea of giving up a lot of our beliefs that are actually holding us back and preventing us from evolving at the highest possible level that we are truly capable of. The first idea that we can consider giving up is the idea that somehow everything good is supposed to happen for us right now. It's all supposed to be made like instantly all right by God, by the universe, or what have you, and it's all supposed to happen immediately right now. Now, here's the thing. This planet has been at war with itself for many thousands of years. And so far, there has never been a right now solution. Civilizations have come, civilizations have gone, and yet the warring still continues. But for some reason, our generation of spiritual seekers, and I'm talking about the people that are alive on the planet today, believes that this will all suddenly change as if by magic in just a heartbeat. Even though that has never happened in many thousands of years, people will get very, very mad if you even suggest that maybe it's not happening now either. Now, why would I suggest that it's not happening now? Because so far it hasn't. And the longer that we insist that it will, with absolutely no evidence in past or present history, the more time we will waste thinking that our evolutionary condition just doesn't matter. So I'm going to say a couple of things that some could interpret as confrontational, others probably not. But some people might find it a little bit triggering. I don't like that word, but that's the popular word in use, so I'm going to use it here. So if you are feeling particularly sensitive or very, very attached to your point of view, well, you might want to just turn this video off. And on the other hand, if you're feeling, a little bit open-minded, maybe interested in trying on a new idea just to see how it is for you, well then, let's continue. I have a suspicion that there's a lot more information that would be available to us, except for the fact that I really think a lot of times that a lot of people don't really want to hear what they actually need to hear. It's kind of like what I often say about the experience of unanswered prayers. A lot of times, if you're praying for an answer and that answer is just not coming, oftentimes it's because you might, without realizing it, have certain conditions on the type of answer that you are willing to accept. And if the real answer cannot meet your conditions, even if they're subconscious conditions, then no answer will be forthcoming. Now, if we collectively or as spiritual seekers, light workers, or however you want to refer to ourselves here in this venue, if we are attached to certain beliefs and certain ideas that we're not willing to move outside of, we could actually be missing out on some really powerful, incredible things that we might need to know. So let's see if we can just crack that door open just a little bit and, just for fun maybe, entertain some things that might seem a bit confrontational to our current New Age, ET, or spiritual points of view. Something like our white hat sacred cow of beliefs. So recently, I've been stepping back and looking at us as a spiritual collective from a wider point of view. And honestly, you guys, I really think we sound quite immature when looking at ourselves from that wider level of things. It's like we have such a need for instant gratification. So many times we want God or something else to step in right now and fix all of this. And when that doesn't happen, instead of questioning our own beliefs, we often tend to get mad, or we get upset, or we get depressed, or we feel hopeless. All of those kinds of really down sort of negative emotions. Now, if we were to draw a spectrum of evolution in the cosmos and compare that to our human development as beings on this planet, then on that spectrum, we are kind of on an infant or toddler kind of level. That's in a big spectrum. Now, I'm not saying that this is true for you, but I am saying that I think this could be true. I think it is true for a lot of people. So, using this analogy, look at it this way. Infants and babies are very demanding creatures. They expect instant resolutions to anything that bothers them. If their needs are not met immediately, they can go into some very desperate emotional states. See, babies are very simplistic creatures when compared to adults. They simply do not have the reference points of understanding that adults have. Their thinking is much more one-dimensional. It's basically, help me now, right now. Now, one of the things that helps to soothe very young children is to read to them or to tell them stories. The child doesn't really question whether or not the story is true. They are just happy to hear the story told in a soothing, benevolent way. It just really calms them. So let's draw what you might think is a very bizarre comparison to this. On a larger cosmic scale of evolution, we humans on Earth are actually very much like this. We are currently in great distress on this planet. And being rather immature, we demand solutions right now from someone who is bigger and smarter than we are. That someone could be God or advanced ET races or secret white hats. It could be our own idea of secret cosmic forces who never make themselves known. And if any of these entities are not showing up, we can begin to feel quite desperate for some kind of emotional relief. And what we often tend to gravitate towards to soothe us are stories. And because humans are creators, they are also awesome storytellers. So there are stories galore about all of the things, the forces, and the people that are helping us in secret. There are stories about how any minute now, the sun is going to blow up and solve everything. Or stories about how the earth is going to suddenly and magically turn into a paradise called the new earth in the fifth dimension. There are stories about how all of this is really just one gigantic computer game, and therefore none of this suffering really means anything. It's all just a game to see if we can win and go to the next level. I mean, there are more stories than we could ever count. And just like a young child, we are often satisfied with these stories. We don't really care if there's any real evidence that they're true. We just like hearing them. They soothe our stress and make us feel better. And then if you suggest questioning or taking any of these stories away, you will be met with outrage, just like a baby is outraged if you take away their favorite toy or their pacifier. So I want to suggest that maybe it's time for us to grow out of this phase. As long as we continue to believe in tales of salvation that literally do not exist in the world that we live in every day, then we cannot be fully present. We will have the most important part of our energy tied up in these stories of invisible heroes who never present themselves or show any evidence of what they say they have accomplished. We will thus have a tendency to withdraw from our reality and retreat into a world of stories about things that we cannot see. Now, I am not suggesting that everything in this enormous interdimensional gargantuan universe needs to be physically visible in order to be real, because that's really impossible. I'm just suggesting that the situation we find ourselves in requires our full attention. It requires our full presence if our lives here are to have any real substantial meaning. It requires us to be grown up enough to understand the world that we live in and experience every day and seek positive ways to live and evolve in that reality. Because if we are unable to be fully present with our situation here, then how are we supposed to have the necessary reference points that would allow us to evolve? Now, a lot of spiritual people are lonely and distressed because the people in their lives think they are crazy. Now, sometimes that's because the people in their lives feel a need to live in denial because they are feeling so afraid and overwhelmed. But other times it's because the stories that their spiritual friend or family member is trying to convince them of is quite honestly just not believable. And that's when you can run into a lot of trouble with what you originally came to this earth to do. See, if you think it helps people to try and get them to believe things that are basically unbelievable, then you lose credibility with those people. What gives you credibility is to show that you can deal with reality in a way that doesn't require stories about invisible heroes or magical moments when everything morphs into a completely different reality in just an instant. What gives you credibility is to show that you can deal with the same reality that everyone else is sharing on this planet in a way that shows them something positive that they too can be and do. See, there is nothing in nature that shows evolution happening in instantaneous flashes or moments. It can take millions and even billions of planetary years to unfold, depending upon where you are in the universe. Once again, a case in point is the fact that very little human evolution has happened on Earth for thousands of years. There is still plenty of war, violence, suffering, and poverty. Does this mean that humans on Earth are bad? Does it mean that they're failures? No, it just means that the evolutionary timetable in the cosmos is not what we think. It accounts for many different factions of experience, not just the ones that we experience in any one given lifetime. So let me explain the reason that I am bringing this up now. There are three main things that we need to be concerned with, and these are all things that we can see and experience for ourselves. The first one is the fact that the controllers on this planet are working in service to AI. This is evidenced by the fact that they have openly and publicly stated that their goal is to end the era of human beings. They want to transform our species into an artificial, totally controlled, synthetic and silicon-based species. They have said that many people will die in the process. None of this is secret. The second thing is that they have already begun this process starting in 2020. They spent 2 years completely dismantling all of our social structures worldwide. They spent 2 years breaking apart our natural human bonds with each other and drove us all more deeply into isolation and onto the internet. And they now suggest that our basic, most fundamental human nature of being either man or woman is wrong and should no longer be allowed to be expressed. So they are literally taking apart our biology and our connection to each other. And the third thing to be concerned with is the fact that they are now beginning the process of dismantling all of our human support systems of food, energy, transportation, and water. See, this is no longer a situation where we can afford to live on stories. This situation requires our full consciousness and our full presence. It requires us to be more like adults in the cosmos. If we don't give up our childlike interpretation of our reality, then we are at great risk of being blindsided by events that we will be unable to cope with because we didn't do the necessary work in advance. So what is that work? And how can we do it? The first most important thing is to figure out how you can stay centered within yourself and remember who you are in the event of major unexpected events. How are you going to stay grounded, centered, and clear? The time to contemplate that is now, not after the fact. So I suggest starting with where we are today. Our world is in a great deal of turmoil, fear, and uncertainty right now. Are you staying centered and clear every day? And if not, how are you going to solve that problem? Instead of waiting for someone to take you by the hand and lead you to all the answers in your own life, I suggest that you start using your inner wisdom, common sense, and creativity to discover those answers for yourself. This is how one gains strength and confidence. This is how a person evolves. Now, we are currently being programmed by the controllers to believe that we shouldn't have to do anything by ourselves. They are conditioning us to become more and more passive, more and more helpless. This is how they plan to steal whatever is left of our power. They want to weaken us by convincing us that we cannot walk on our own. According to them, only bad people try to succeed. Only unfairly privileged people desire to make something out of their lives. They are literally demonizing success and elevating weakness. They are trying to teach us that failures get all the attention. People who succeed are to be ostracized and stopped. And success can mean anything you want. It means being successful at manifesting the life you desire. It can mean successful evolution. You can define whatever success means for you. But according to the controllers, people who succeed are just plain evil because they make the weak ones feel bad. Do you see how this works? Do you see the deadly propaganda? Do you see the trap? If they can convince us that we are weak and helpless, then we become instant prey for them. If they can keep us in an immature state of cosmic infancy, then they can continue on being like the abusive parent who has all the power. So maybe we feel weak right now because we're not used to finding our own strength and calling all of this out for what it is. Maybe collectively, we've spent too much time anesthetizing ourselves with stories, porn, alcohol, drugs, and Netflix. But if we continue to look for ways to anesthetize ourselves, then we do so at our own peril, because we won't have the level of consciousness necessary to stay afloat when this plan of the controllers goes forward even more. So I suggest that a great beginning is to seriously watch your energy and your consciousness every single day. Make the effort to stay present, conscious, and aware, and living at a high vibrational state as best you can every single day. Make a conscious effort to build your inner strength every day. Now, as I'm saying this is actually reminding me of that story of Noah's Ark. Now, I'm definitely not a Bible scholar by any stretch of the imagination, but I think I remember that the story went something like, Noah was told to build an ark because this big flood was coming, but there was no sign of any flood. Everything seemed fine. And I think I heard that like people were laughing at him, like, what are you doing? That's so stupid. I don't even believe you're building an ark. How dumb is that, right? But then, of course, the flood came unexpectedly, and Noah was the only one that survived, or along with whoever else was on the ark. So I don't know why, but when I was sharing this with you all, that story just came to mind. So this is sort of like, this is a moment where we have like a window where we need to build that inner ark within ourselves, that inner ark of strength before whatever flood might be coming from these controllers. What I'm saying is that I think we have a window for this right now, but we don't know when that window might close, when the next big thing might unfold. And we definitely don't want to be caught off guard. So we have to learn something new. We have to learn how to be in this ongoing situation and not succumb to all of the stress that it can induce. And that is a good starting place. Now, I'm a believer in one step at a time. This is so much better than waiting until you have all the answers. That's because once you take the first step, new revelations begin to unfold about the next one that you need to take. So we don't need to have all the answers at once. We just need to start. And right now, starting means to up-level your consciousness and your life from wherever you are right now. So instead of waiting for all the answers before you feel you can do anything, take those first steps that you do know about right now. This will give you a sense of empowerment and command that you didn't have before. And then it will reveal to you whatever is next in your own life. Every new step will give you strength, and we need that strength now more than ever before. And also remember this, we are not responsible for the rest of the world. We are not responsible to evolve the entire planet, but we are responsible for ourselves. We have to start there. We have to become the beings of higher intelligence that we truly are at our source. So whatever this world has done to define you as weak, it's time to reject that identity. It's time to define yourself as you truly want and need to be. Remember, just take one small step at a time. Now, one place you can start is by refusing to listen to that voice in the head that wants to badmouth you and discourage you. That's the voice of the ego. Now, maybe you can't turn that voice off, but you can make a decision that it no longer rules your life. It no longer runs the show. And you can also attend to the health of your physical body. This will make evolving so much easier if you don't feel drained by poor health and exhaustion from stress. And if you suffer from any chronic conditions, then do whatever you can do to improve your experience of that situation. And you probably already know that I strongly advocate for daily meditation, especially in the morning. Starting your day with meditation every day is a true game changer. Now, we are in a transition right now, so let's take advantage of that and steer our lives in a direction that we want to go. See, you have so many positive resources within you. It's just a matter of rediscovering what they are and learning to tap into those inner resources. So I want to go back to my analogy about children. And using that analogy in terms of our evolution in the cosmos. See, in nature, whatever is young and vital and ready to evolve and grow into the fullest, most beautiful, perfect manifestation of itself is led by an inner spark of vibrancy and life. There's almost like an enthusiasm in that which is new and young to grow and evolve, right? The controllers have suppressed that in us so extensively that now it's kind of like I was saying earlier, we are stuck in a very immature cosmic state. So my overriding point is, why don't we see if we can tap into that same kind of natural spark of life, that enthusiasm, that desire to evolve and grow and to become more of who we are, and consider that an exciting thing to do, which is so much better than being stuck at the same level and feeling like you just can't evolve because you're just so attached to your old way of thinking and believing, kind of like a child is attached to their pacifier or something. You see what I mean? That's my analogy anyway. So overall, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has given you a lot of food for thought. And if you resonate with anything that I've said, hopefully it will inspire you to wake up at an even greater level and move forward with energy, with enthusiasm, and with excitement and inspiration. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think would enjoy some inspiration to find their inner strength. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell, because I am here every Tuesday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.